Okay. Well, I guess that the first thing we need to do is we need to introduce ourselves. Right?
I'm Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Thanks.
I'm Stuart.
Stuart. And I'm Ash.
Hello, Ash.
And we're the Tres Amigos.
Or the Three Amigos.
Three Amigos.
If you can't speak Spanish.
Don't do
And
that to rebrand it.
we're just three guys sitting on a table chatting.
Having some M&S pastries.
Which have kindly been provided by Stu and
Shall we
his
say
team.
what we've had? I've had a cinnamon roll.
Oh, often?
No, cinnamon roll. I often take a roll.
Yeah. Well,
It's not a smoking roll, but
That's
just
a roll up.
Roll up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got, Andrew, what?
In front of me right now is a pistachio donut, which I believe you've provided to because you couldn't do the pistachio.
They didn't have any.
croissant.
M&S did not have any pistachio croissants. I did go to a coffee shop this morning, and in there was pistachio croissants.
Right.
But I thought, no, Ash wanted M&S.
No.
No, he did say M&S do them.
Because you said, where can I get them from?
Yes.
So what you've done is you've walked into an establishment that sells pistachio croissants
Yes.
Walked out
and
again.
left.
Yeah.
because
Because it was an M&S.
Because Ash, no. Ash didn't say no. Ash didn't say he wanted an M&S pistachio croissant. He said you questioned where you would be able to get one, and he said M&S
Correct.
is an option.
Correct.
An option,
Correct.
just an option.
Correct.
So why would you leave the place that was selling the product?
Because I didn't know how good they were, how nice they were.
Right.
I'd assumed Ash had tried the pistachio croissants from M&S.
Yeah.
I do like the cinnamon rolls from there, so I thought, kill two birds with one stone, do it from there. So anyway, you've got a...
You've got that,
failed.
and I have an almond croissant,
You do, yeah.
which is still in the bag over there, and I will have it later. But
Yes.
thank you so much for bringing that.
It's all right.
It just brightens the morning up before we start.
Very kind of you.
Yeah.
Well, somebody has to, because there's one member of the Tres Amigos who doesn't do anything food-wise, does he really?
Well, I did offer to go and get a Bacchus, but then it was sort of-
McDonald's?
It was tongue-in-cheek, wasn't
A
it?
McDonald's. You want to know if we wanted a... Sorry, viewers.
You literally put an order in. When I said I was going to go to Mackey's, you actually told me what you would have.
And where was it?
Well, I didn't bring it.
No,
'Cause It's
exactly.
tongue-in-cheek because I know full well that Ash does not want the smell of a McDonald's in
I
his
don't want
kitchen at
to
10 o'clock in the morning.
smell it. I don't want to taste it. But as you were kindly offering, I thought I'd partake in it.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. Three guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.
So normally we, as I said earlier on, that we normally just sit around the table and start talking, and anything that comes to mind, we build on it and talk about it. Very rarely do we do anything that is pre-prepared, shall we say? Okay, and this is something that I have done today, and the topic is about DNA, right? And it's about my DNA, which I applied for some months ago. And got the results. But what I didn't want to do was to just provide you with the results, because I needed to understand it better so that I have a story to tell rather than just presenting the results. Because the results actually are pretty boring in a way. They're not, no, in terms of actual percentages and things like that, it's not a great story.
No.
You have to get behind that to understand what it is, So I have made a bit of preparation for it, and
I've been on Ancestry and done what is 33% Viking and 27%.
If he's got Viking in him,
I beg your pardon.
well,
Let's wait and see what he's got in it.
never on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So I guess that the place to start really is to talk about my kind of motivation for doing it.
Yeah.
Initially, okay. So feel free to dip in any time and make comments and squiggly things.
I'm sure we will.
Can we turn the lights down? It's going to be a bit
Put a spotlight on.
spotlight on it. Yeah.
But look, I mean, I think like all of us, I've always been quite fascinated with programs like Who Do You Think You Are? right? And I watched them over the years,
That's it.
and
He's got a murderer in the family, hasn't he? Or he's got some royal blood.
But the great thing about those programs is that people kind of start exploring their kind of ancestry and their families and family trees and all the rest of it. And I just love the way that a lot of them, they kind of are really frequently surprised by what's behind it all. Do you know what I mean?
I hope he's not letting us down. He's building this up so much we're going to be surprised.
We've got
And it's going to be a flat episode, isn't it?
big expectations are being set here.
I haven't finished yet, mate. This is a real build up, right?
Crescendo.
So not only are they surprised about their, what's in their ancestry, but quite often you do find them have links with India.
Sorry?
A number of those people that have been participants in Who Do You Think You Are quite often find links to India, right, in their ancestry.
Oh.
Why not? I mean, because why are you?
Well, I'm intrigued because that's quite a wide, not a wide sweeping statement, but that's like saying, Stu, you need to go and do your DNA just to prove that wrong.
More right.
All right.
Because
So I think I might do it.
when you think about the British kind of occupation rule of India for a couple of centuries, really, it's not silly to think that they'll have some links with your ancestries, right? Well, let me build on it. Right? So kind of give you a couple of examples.
Yes,
So,
please.
for instance, there was the program with Alistair McGowan. Do you remember him? He was a Scottish kind of comedian and
Impersonator. Yeah.
Impressionist. No, impersonator.
Impressionist.
Well, he might have,
He might have impersonated.
he might have impersonated.
He was an impersonator of other people.
No, he's an impressionist. There's a difference.
Oh, okay.
So do you remember him? And so he's really Scottish, and one of his reasons for going on to the program was that he wanted to prove his Scottishness.
Oh.
Right, he was very proud Scotsman. He wanted to prove his Scottishness, and he also was quite, interested in why he had dark features as well, right? But never thought any more of that. Then when he first started his,
because Scots are normally ginger, aren't they? Ginger ready.
Let's not go back into that.
yeah,
We've done the
those are traits.
They're the traits, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's more gingers, I think, in Scotland than anywhere else, aren't they?
I don't know. Is there?
It's probably something we should look into.
I think you've got a thing about gingers.
No. It's just that main characters tend to be characterised as being ginger.
Right.
And gingers are dying out, so let's keep the gingers
Yeah,
in.
12 months. 12
Nothing
months.
wrong with gingers.
Yeah.
So he embarked on his kind of research, and the very first thing that he saw was his father's birth certificate. And on his birth certificate, it showed that his father was actually born in Calcutta.
Oh.
And that on the birth certificate, it described him as being Anglo-Indian.
Anglo-Indian.
Right. And so he started this research and discovered one that to be defined as an Anglo-Indian at some point in your ancestry, generations or whatever, you would have had an Indian mother, right? So he was quite surprised by this, and he went back and back. And I don't want to go into it too much detail because
No, I want to focus on you.
you'll find out on that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was that he went back and back. So some 6 generations back, he realized that his first ancestor was Scottish. He went from Scotland to India, and he married a noblewoman, a Muslim noblewoman.
Would that have been allowed in those days?
Well, there was a period of time when it was allowed and it was encouraged
Okay.
because it was a way of actually instilling the British kind of,
And improving the gene pool.
I don't know about that.
That's contentious.
No, but I'm saying
In their
eyes, they might be thinking, they're coming
But
from.
then later on, it was frowned upon,
Right.
as for various reasons. But it was something that was encouraged.
Right.
So that's how it kind of started, him being Anglo-Indian. And then he realized that actually his first ancestor that went from Scotland to India hadn't actually been Scottish. He was actually Irish.
Right. So he's a Celt, though.
It was a Celt.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to describe here is surprises, and links to India. And then there was the other one with Michelle Hussain, who's BBC journalist. Again, she embarked on her kind of research and discovered that, she was Pakistani origin, born in India, but Pakistan because of the partition, etc. And then when she started delving into her ancestry, she realized that one of her great grandfathers or whatever was actually Irish. Right. And then she went off to India, and she went off to one of the Dutch kind of regions that were ruled by the Dutch in India, and discovered all sorts of links in her family tree that took her all the way back to America. Right. So if you think about it, there is a massive ethnicity mix in India, right? As a result of, you've got the location of where India is. In centuries past, wealth encouraged, occupations, invasions by the British, by the French, by the Portuguese, by the Dutch. And if you go back even further to, to the region that I come from, Northwest, you've got invasions from Persia and Afghanistan. And so you've got the rise of the Mughal Empire, right? And, so why not assume, right, that there is this great mix of ethnicity because of all of that? And that's what kind of encouraged me to think, well, actually, maybe there's a kind of a mix there in terms of my ethnicity. So one of the other reasons that I chose to kind of do it was that I became aware of a group of people called the Zoroastrians, right? And their connection with my home state, Gujarat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read a paragraph from some folklore about the Zoroastrians that will give you a little bit of an insight into their kind of connection with Gujarat. So they were also known as Parsis, right? So the Parsi story, like that of so many minorities, is one of diaspora and assimilation, right? So in the 7th century, Zoroastrians fled religious persecution in Iran, Persia, and settled in Gujarat on the Indian west coast, right? An enduring piece of law that is often repeated says that when the Parsis arrived in India, the local leader, a guy called Jadi Rana, he displayed a vessel, showed them a vessel, which was full of milk, top to the newcomers that came in. This was a visual representation or illustration, if you like, that the area of Gujarat was already densely populated with no room for any more people, right? So the head of the Parsi priest, these newcomers, he poured a spoonful of sugar into the milk, symbolizing the way in which his community, the Zoroastrians, would sweeten the society without destabilizing.
Nice.
I think that was a great way of kind of, no need to describe this.
I feel that Stuart wishes to come in with something that's going to take this in a completely different direction. So maybe we just...
No, I think it's a good analogy.
Okay.
Okay. So the leader, Jadi Rana, he reluctantly gave in and allowed them to stay. So
because he didn't have any sugar, and they never discovered sugar, and when they tried it, it was sweet.
It's metaphorical, mate.
Yeah. Sugar's always been there.
I just thought, it was a new taste sensation to them.
Yeah.
So like a chocolate bar.
So because of that link, it got me thinking, and I'm thinking the Parsis have been mixed within our community in the state of Gujarat for some 1,200 years, right?
Be interested to see what percentage of the population of Gujarat are original Gujaratis, and what are the Parsis,
yeah,
and see what the lineage has been.
Okay, so embarking on this whole thing with the DNA is I had to start learning, trying to understand what DNA is all about and what it can provide and what it can't provide, right? In terms of kind of background knowledge of your ancestry. So DNA is it's identifying genetic markers for paternity, well, you know about those things, Andy, and close relative matching. So it's good at doing that.
Hold on, why did you just throw that in at me?
Well, because we talked about paternity
DNA.
Oh,
yeah.
Because if there's any dispute, the first thing they'll do is check DNA.
Yeah,
profiling.
Yeah.
But let's not go into it.
I just felt like I was
so
being...
for paternity and close
you've got some
relative
baggage.
matching, it's really good at doing that.
Yeah.
But ethnicity are just estimates.
Oh.
Right? They're less accurate because they're comparing DNA to groups of living populations, right, rather than historical records. Do you see what I mean?
I think so.
Yeah.
Without this becoming a BBC Two, I get my head around the DNA. So basically, what you're saying is that when you do the DNA test like you've done, not that it's guesswork, but it's educated on a collection of massive amounts of information. It's not specific.
No, it's not specific. And it's about populations rather than individuals.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so brilliant. So I did my DNA and it comes back.
So we're now talking to the one listener that we've got left.
No, I think listeners would be intrigued.
I'm only joking.
Only because, you only look at how successful Ancestry's been. And a lot of people are now interested more and more about that.
And I do think it did need the build-up, so I was being facetious.
You were. So can you kind of be quiet and let the man carry on?
So you know how the DNA thing works. You kind of send away for a pack, it comes back, you spit in a tube and you send it back and test.
It's saliva, not blood.
It's saliva. It's a swab inside the mouth.
Yeah.
And then you put it back.
Because I did that for the bone marrow charity when you have to swab your mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to do blood. You just have to do swab. Okay.
So that goes away and it comes back, and therefore they check my DNA against the world's populations, if you like.
Right.
And so this is the breakdown, right? So 39% is the Deccan and Gulf of Mannar, which is like the south of India. 34%.
Hold on, that's not where you're from.
No. Okay. 34% is Gujarat.
That is where you're from.
Yes. 15% is from southern India, right? And 5% is from southwest India.
So in fact, you know now that you're Indian.
But 5% is from Bengal.
Right.
He's a pure breed. He's not a Heinz 57.
No, he's definitely...
He's a pure breed.
So let's build up on that.
He's a pedigree.
Yeah.
So if you look at I know you can't see this on the podcast, but if you look at it, right, that's Gujarat, right there.
Yeah.
That's Bengal.
Yeah.
And this is Decca. This is Decca. This is Southwest. There's Southwest, Western, and Sri Lanka.
So just so that I can try and visualizely?
Yeah.
That's not a word.
Yeah.
Describe this.
Yeah.
So we've got Gujarat, which is on the northwest.
Yeah.
Nearest to Pakistan.
Near to Pakistan.
Yeah.
In between that, we've got Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah.
And then a bit of Nepal before you get, which is not where you're from.
No.
No DNA
None
from
of that DNA from there.
But you are now on the top right-hand side, the northeast, which is Bengal.
That's only 5% there.
Now that says I can read there, it says Bangladesh.
Yep.
So is Bangladesh is Bengali?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then you've got the this is Kerala or Goa way
Which
down
is on the
there.
west coast.
Yeah. And then you've got the east down here, but it's all of that, right? So, I mean, if it was Iran or Persia, it would be a pair somewhere, right? Because that's where Persia's from. And Gujarat, as you can see, is here. That's why you've got this link. Okay. So there you go. That's the makeup. Now, so I'm entirely South Asian.
Yeah.
Entirely South Asian. Okay. Right. However, I'm not just from one village. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not somebody who's never moved. Okay. So although I'm not labeled 100% Gujarat, my ancestry is actually spread across a large part of India.
Most of it, by the looks of that.
Yeah. But bearing in mind that this is kind of going back centuries, it's not recent, right? So this is all about long-term internal migration,
Mhm.
right? And so that's happened in India because in India, over the centuries, there's multiple reasons why there's been migration within India, right? So things like trade routes. So the Gujarat was a major route linking India with Arabia, with Persia, with Africa, and southern India, right? So people would migrate to there potentially to go beyond.
Mhm.
You've got things like kingdom shifts. So different kingdoms and empires rose and fell, right? So populations moved either through armies or for administration and things like that. There was also a Muslim rule because when the Mughals came, there was a massive period of time and there was a Muslim rule in India. And so the part of India, the Deccan part of India, became a kind of cultural crossroads where Persia, Central Asia, which is Persia too, and Indian influences blended together over centuries. All right. And also on top of all that, you've also got coastal trading networks. So it's like a maritime, highway which connects Gujarat with Kerala, the south, the Gulf, East Africa, across the way, as trade and migration. So there's all those things. And then the final kind of reasons for migration and moving around was the time of the British era, right? So rail and administration movements, so railways were built, which provided the ability to kind of move around. And so people moved for military reasons, for trade, for government jobs and things like that. Okay. So what I'm trying to explain here is that although I'm not Gujarati fully, my kind of ancestry or my ethnicity is built up from a number of different regions.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of movement and migration around India. So India never stood still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I just, on that point of you were saying about the railways, and something just came to mind. People moved for work, for example. So
yeah.
If things are being built by the British or before, after, independent of whatever.
Yeah.
People moved because India's not small, is it?
No.
So it's not like a guy from Newcastle working on HS2, is it?
No.
You've gone a long way.
Yeah. To go.
So that must have happened over a period of time.
Yeah.
Especially going back over those years, you're not going to have moved.
Yeah. So when you look at that kind of feature that are made up from multiple different regions within India, but they are the problem or the issue is that your DNA doesn't actually change until you actually produce children made from mixed backgrounds.
So your boys, for example, that'd be really interesting to see that.
Okay, so I'm coming to that. I'll come to that in a bit. No, I'll come to that in a bit. No, I'll come to that. But the reason that populations kind of retain their ethnicity is because for various reasons, for reasons of religion, caste, culture, people tended to marry within groups and not outside.
Well, this is this arranged marriage that comes about, doesn't it?
Arranged marriage or just culturally, etc.
That's just every nationality does that, though, don't they? If you move to another country, you are more likely to live amongst your fellow expats, aren't you, for example?
Yeah, but there's limited knowledge. I may be wrong on this, and Ash can correct me. But their parents have a big influence in who they marry.
Yes, they do.
Whereas in our culture, they don't.
No,
true.
Unless it's aristocracy. So the aristocracy like to stick to the aristocracy.
It did, yeah. Middle classes and upper classes, like the times of Jane Austen and all those kind of times, people did marry within their class.
Yeah.
Right. And so here you're talking about maybe class, but you're talking more about caste or religion or etc.
Can I say something just on that?
Yeah.
Also, isn't there quite a lot of, and I believe that there's a lot more familial relationships, as in more relationships with cousins, first cousins, second cousins, than in other parts of the world? Does that affect it? who's already in your family, which is more likely to happen.
More likely to happen. So when we talk about the potential of Persian kind of influence in my DNA, the problem with that is that, one, the chances are that they didn't really marry outside of, because they would have had to. A Persian person in Gujarat would have had to marry somebody who was already Gujarati, for instance, for that mix to occur, right? But because they were very kind of contained in the way that they had their marriages, etc., it didn't become part of it didn't kind of dilute into the rest of Gujarat. Do you see what I'm saying? And so you can imagine, therefore, that we're going to be separate, even over 1,200 years, right? But even then, because it's so long ago, you're never going to see that through DNA at all, right? So what I'm going to talk about now is the fact that although my ancestry is from particular parts of India, for centuries we never moved out of India until the last century. So what's more important to me is not about ethnicity. It's more about family, have evidence of, and information about, and background to.
So tangible people. Real people. Even that is slightly different in our situation, where when you do a family tree, for instance, I did one for Anne's side of the family, and I found masses of information. Yeah.
Because you've got censuses, you've got, records from churches and You've got all of that stuff, and I can go way back, 1800 something. I went back to about 1860, something like that. With India, and that's very difficult.
You didn't keep records.
They don't have the same level of records at all, really, that you have here. Because here you have things like military records, things like that would also add to it. Not in India, right? So a lot of what I was able to discover about my background from an Indian point of view was very much based on word of mouth. Right. And so what I'd like to do, if you're happy with this, is to now kind of delve into parts of my history based on recent events rather than centuries ago, because that isn't really that interesting in the end, right?
Well, you can't justify that, can you? You can't.
Okay. So going back to that comment that actually India was very static, but in the last century, there was movement for various reasons.
You mean outside of India?
Outside of India. So if I go back to India in kind of mid-1800s, there was a huge migration of people from the Gujarat to the east coast of Africa, right? The reason that they were moved over there, they were indentured labor that was needed over there to work in the plantations, to work on the railways later on. And so there was, something like 200,000 Indians were moved across to East Africa, including South Africa, right? So that's the beginning of the story from my maternal side of the family. So my great-great-grandfather left India in 1895, okay, to go to South Africa. Okay. Now, he wasn't indentured labor, right, because that had already happened some 40 years before. His reasons for moving were twofold. One is that India generally, but the state of Gujarat more importantly, encountered a huge famine, right, which meant that there was a whole issue regarding the economics of the place, jobs, etc. Agriculture was in decline as a result of that, and people had to get out to at least survive and make better for their families back home. So he made his own way across to South Africa because there was already a community that had established through the indentured labor people.
Mhm.
And now he went over really because he was a Dobie. He was a laundryman. And he went over at the age of 17 to maybe set up a clothes washing service for the people who already live there.
Uh-huh.
Do you see what I mean?
It's quite smart.
And not only him, but I mean other people who had other trades or skills also moved over voluntarily in this case to help with the community there to service them.
Mhm.
So that's the beginning of my family before my great granddad. There may have been other people that also were part of the indentured labor, but I don't know that. I don't know that. But I do know that he went over at the age of 17, which was quite a brave thing to do, you know?
Mhm.
So he arrived there and he set up, you know, he started working there and stuff. And, you know, he had his own family. And one of those, he only had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. And the boy was my granddad.
Well.
Okay.
And who was his wife?
His wife was
Your
my great-grandmother.
Yeah, but was she Gujarati?
Yes.
Or she wasn't South African?
No.
No.
And it wouldn't have mattered, by the way, if she was South African, i.e. an Indian South African,
Yeah.
his DNA would have been still the same.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? The DNA of his children would have been the same.
Well,
Yeah,
not
'cause it would have been mixed with South African if
No,
she was
no.
South African.
No, she wasn't South African. She would have been an Indian person.
Yes, but
that lived in
I
South
think no,
Africa.
it's establishing that she wasn't.
Yeah, but if she didn't come from Gujarat,
Yeah.
she came from another region of India, then the DNA would alter in the child.
Yes, it just in as much as it is for me.
Yes.
It would still be from that place in India.
Well, percentage of it would be from that part of India.
Your DNA doesn't change because you were born in a different country.
No. But the mother would have a different DNA profile. So her percentage might have been 40% Kerala.
Yes, of course.
And that's what I'm saying.
So that would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know that, and that's the point of why the DNA bit isn't not irrelevant, but it's
yeah.
because you don't actually really know who or where that may have come from.
No. So in my situation, my dad's DNA would have been maybe slightly different from my mum's DNA.
Yeah.
Right. But it was all still from India.
Yeah.
It wasn't from anywhere else.
Yeah.
So we think that my great grandmother, we think that she stayed in India. He had children in India, 3 children. And one of those was my granddad.
And what year is this?
When
was your
I guess my granddad would have been around about, I would say 1910, 1915, something like that.
so around about 19? You sure?
Yeah, because 1895 he was.
And your granddad was born.
I think, which rang my aunt, who's the only living aunt of my mother's generation in South Africa, to ask her a few questions.
Mm.
And you know, I mean, she was slightly hard of hearing and stuff like that, but that's not important. Even she doesn't know the full history of what happened. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all about word of mouth, as I say, and things like that. So anyway, so they established that. Now, the interesting part of this is that my mother was actually born in South Africa.
Your mother was born in South Africa.
Yes.
So your grandfather was born in South Africa around about 1910-ish.
We don't know. We think he might have been born. He could have been born in India.
Oh.
And migrated later on to South Africa with his father. We don't know that.
Okay.
So, but nevertheless, at this point, my granddad and my grandmother lived in South Africa. So my mother was born in 1934.
Mhm.
They lived in South Africa,
Mhm.
and she was born. But 2 years later, at the age of 2, she was sent to India to live with her grandmother.
Yeah.
Right. Along with her other sister. They lived there, right? And that's where my mother grew up. So you've got this situation where, you know, you've got the whole family, and we're talking about, from my granddad, he had, I think, 4 or 5 a large family. Out of all of those, my mother and her sister was brought up by her grandmother in India. Right. And at the age 17/18, she married my dad. Right. And that's so these kind of families that they never thought twice about splitting families, and for various reasons, for whatever the reasons were, I don't know, right? But that's what they did. Okay, so you've got that situation. So my mother married my dad, and my dad had my sister in 1952, and me in 1954, and the circumstances around that is very much around, UK was in great need of young people, right? People to work to rebuild England, UK.
And your dad would have been in his early 20s at that point?
He was 22.
Okay.
So he would have started to think about coming over maybe a year or two before that. So he would have been 20-ish. When he first started thinking about coming over. Now, in those days...
Sorry, at this point, do you know where your grandfather is at this point?
My grandfather from my mother's side?
No.
From my dad's side?
Yes.
He's in India.
Right.
He's in India. My dad's in India.
Yeah.
In Surat, in Gujarat.
Yeah.
Marries my mum.
Yeah.
Has those 2 children. And then he decides that he wants to come here. And he found it difficult coming here because although, people... prior to the independence, my dad and people from India had the right to come to the UK without visas, without anything, because there was a great demand for labour.
Well, also they're part of the Commonwealth, so they can move freely within the Commonwealth.
Yeah, but that might have been restricted somewhere else, but here it was a necessity, and they needed to do that. And he found it really difficult to get over, even though he had no visa, because you had to go through agents and people in India who'd let you through. And there's a story that, he got so frustrated with a particular agent that didn't, process his application to come to the UK, that he apparently threatened him. He took him to the top floor of this building where these offices were with a knife and said to the guy, if you don't sort this out for me, I'm going to jump off this building and I'm going to take you with me.
Wow, that's quite heavy.
Right. Because he was desperate to get here, right? I mean, before he came here, our family weren't very well off at all. We didn't even have our own house. We were almost nomads. So when my dad came here, who were left were my grandparents, me, my mom, and my uncle. So the 5 of us would have to find places to rent, right, rather than have our own home, right? And so he was desperate, to not only, to improve his own situation, but to improve the lot of his family, right, that was left back in India, right? And so he came over in what they called a chain migration, almost like it's like people who are already here, they can contact them and they kind of, provide the ability for them to come over. And those were difficult times, in the early 50s and stuff. When they first came over here, they had this whole thing about hotbedding. Have you heard of that?
No.
So when you first arrive, you seek out accommodation. Accommodation is usually blokes, men, in houses with multiple occupancy.
And what do you call it? Hot bedding?
Hot bedding, yeah, literally. Where
hot bedding.
Hot bedding.
Like hot desk. It's like a hot desk. So people still do this now. So you would have people who perhaps have migrated here that might be, I just happen to know as an example of one house that is made up of Uber drivers, and they essentially share the house, but there's more of them than there is rooms. So somebody will get up in the morning, go and do an Uber shift for 4 hours, and then come back and get into the bed of the person who was.
Wow.
And that's
That's
on
exactly what happened. So
Okay.
people in night shift used to sleep during the day, and vice versa, right? And it became, until they were able to earn enough money to buy their own places, that's how they had to work. And interestingly, as I read the other day, was that the currency conversion rate between the pound and the rupee was so massive in terms of the value of the pound, that to work here
And send your money home.
at home was a massive improvement. So, okay. All right.
Yeah, seems fine.
Seems like, yeah.
Yeah, you still think same place.
Sorry, guys, the microphone just fell to the ground.
I might chop that bit up.
Okay. I know. I've noticed you were yawning a lot, Stu. Are you
I've just
happy?
had a tough week.
Are you happy for me to carry on?
Yeah. I wasn't yawning because of what you're telling me.
Of course not.
I find it quite interesting.
What he's done now, he's suddenly moved closer to the microphone.
Who else?
Stuart.
Because I'm leaning in, I'm taking
I know, but
interest.
you've been the whole time you've been sat back there.
Yeah,
But
Yours
said-
was a
laid
little
back.
louder, and
But
now
I'm-
you've moved in.
But I haven't said anything for a while.
Well, that's fine. It's just you've just altered you've moved forward like 18 inches towards
Oh.
the microphone. That affects me.
Oh,
Not affects me, like not in
a physical way.
I'm not emotionally attached to how you see it.
Oh.
So,
Sorry.
just to carry on then. So you can see that this kind of migration bit is a very kind of family splitting, quite emotional, quite, brave thing to do, to at least kind of find some, at that age, it's the age of, well, it's not the age of my children, really. I mean, they're older now than he was when he first came.
Yeah, very young.
So he worked, he lived in those kind of conditions. He managed to get jobs on the roads, in a foundry, and then ultimately he managed to get a job at Jaguar Cars. So the motor industry was developing and building in those days. So there was a good kind of route for people to come and.
So what we haven't established was he came to Coventry
He came to come
first. That was,
Yeah.
and as you've explained, it was a
chain.
people that had
It's kind
already.
of like a chain migration where somebody's already here that he knew. So come here, that's how it works.
Yeah.
It works
yeah.
anywhere in whatever migration, immigration kind of work. It works in that way. You root yourself where people are already, which is why you get communities building up and, as a result.
Diaspora.
This diaspora.
Diaspora, that's the one. I can never say that word.
Yeah.
But that's so. But at that time, Coventry wasn't. So we're talking pre-car industry, aren't they? Really? Or I mean, who were the people that were already? What were they here for?
Who?
The community that was already here.
Well, when I say they're already here, I'm not saying they've been here for decades.
No, but
But it would have been a year or two.
oh, okay. So we're talking just just prior.
This is kind of late, early 50s.
yeah.
Early 50s, right? After the Second World War.
Yeah.
After independence.
So the car industry was established then?
Yeah, I just kind of got my maths a bit. I was thinking that they'd been here for. I got my maths a bit wrong.
Yeah.
No.
I needed to
Yeah.
make notes.
Yeah.
So the great thing was that he was able then to work, earn enough money to send back home. And so I remember back in we came here in 59, in around about 57, so that would only been 3 years after we came here,
Mhm.
he'd sent enough money back home for my mum to buy a house
Wow.
in India.
In 3 years.
I mean, 20,000 rupees or something like that. It wasn't that much. It's a 3-story house, right? And so we had a home.
Mhm.
Finally, we had somewhere where we could establish ourselves and have a home. And then in 1959, my dad brought us over here. So my mum and I came in.
So hold on, let me just do that maths now. Within 3 years, you'd bought a house.
Mhm.
2 years later,
Mhm.
you moved here.
Yeah.
The house stayed,
Yeah, because my grandparents
and did not come.
and my uncle,
Yeah.
the guy we talked about in my trips to India, who
Yeah.
had mental health
Yeah.
issues. Him and
Stayed in the house.
Yeah.
And is that house
and
still
then
there?
his family grew from that because he then married. My uncle married, and then his family grew from the same house.
Yeah. Is that house still there?
It was there until about 2017, 2018, and it was falling into ruin really, and we sold it. I sold it.
Did you know? But that was still family members that were living in there, or had it been sold
Yeah,
to other?
they were still living in there. My uncle's wife was living there still, but yeah, we.
So you just turfed her out?
She died.
Oh, sorry. I thought you just sort of was.
Didn't evict her.
I thought he was like,
No.
landlord.
Well, he's trying to make you out to be an unscrupulous.
No. I
Landlord.
mean, it's not
Bit
that
harsh.
important, but we sold the place to my uncle's daughter's husband, right? So it's part within the family.
So it's still within the family.
Yeah,
so-
but he built it, knocked it down. He bought it, knocked it down, and rebuilt it into a block of apartments.
Oh,
Right. And my aunt was still around then, and she got one of the apartments, but then she passed away a few years later.
so I mean, there's a little bit of wealth there then to be able to knock a building down and build apartments.
That was but that was my cousin's husband. That was a separate family. Their wealth and stuff came differently.
But
Nothing
did
to
that
do
come
with
from
us.
the UK? Did they have?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, so they may have made their money
They made their money there.
in India.
Yeah. So there were people. I mean, it kind of
It could be successful in India, just it outweighs.
over time, depending on yeah, of course.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to be like an accountant. I was just trying to ascertain
No,
the sort of.
no.
No, because I was thinking it had stemmed from
My dad's
your dad.
No,
Migration to here.
not at all. So that's the story of coming here. My dad then bought the house in Hillfields or off Leicester Causeway, number 1 Thornhill Road. He bought that in 1957, 58. And
I'm just trying to. That's a massive, quick period of time to have gone from essentially homeless, to here, to buying a house in India, to buying a house here.
Yeah.
That's like.
But don't forget, buying a house here was on a mortgage.
I'm not suggesting no, but I'm just saying
and it was in 1958 it was £1,200.
Yeah, well, yeah, but still proportionately, that's an immense amount of hard work, isn't it?
Absolutely.
To have done that, that's dedication.
Absolutely. But like everything else, the whole purpose of coming here was to better yourself, better your family back home. But the objective was always to go back.
Oh.
Go back to India because that's my home and their home. They always wanted to go back. So, but it never happened. And in every family, it never happened. Yeah. Partly because, they got used to living here.
Then you're setting down your own.
You have your children.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go back there.
Because they don't know it. It's not. Because that's the thing about you. You came here so young.
Yeah.
India's not really your home country, is it?
It's more so mine than all the kids that were born here.
Yeah, but it's still. You would go there.
I wouldn't live there.
You wouldn't go back there, would you?
No, I wouldn't, and probably wouldn't have then because I didn't know India. I knew Britain better. In spite of all the difficulties here, at least.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It was something that I was.
This is home.
This is home, right? And that's what happened. So we never go back. So we bought the house here, and that whole kind of chain migration thing continued. So people came, and my dad provided accommodation for people to come and transition through, arriving in the UK until they found their own place, until they found a job. They would live at our place. Yeah. So I've mentioned this before, that our house was always full.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the rooms were occupied because people were coming and then going and stuff. And that was great. In a way, that was kind of like his way of, providing support and help for people who first arrived. That's how it worked. So that's kind of some of the history of my kind of ancestry and family, really. And I suppose moving on from there, if we're talking about kind of DNA and heritage and all the rest of it, the interesting thing, as you say, is that having had the boys with Anne, their DNA will be a lot different, right? And more interesting in a lot of ways.
Because each percentile of yours will be halved in theirs.
Yes. And then it will be what Anne's was.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and there is unlikely to be any crossover in your DNA with Anne because it was
no. And so in the way that the family tree from Anne's side is very interesting because you've got names, you've got people that you can kind of identify going back. We don't have that with ours. So one of the things that the DNA does do is that it then puts me in touch with a whole group of people that have very close match to mine, right? And they may or may not be family members.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has put up a few, and there are a couple of cousins, 2, 3, 4th removed cousins and things like that I can identify, but it's not that accurate, because it demands that people have asked for their DNAs to be tested
And also,
and recorded.
they've also worked on their family tree.
Yes.
Because I've done a little bit of the Ancestry, and you do get the suggestions, don't you, that will come up and say, this person has got this name in their family tree. Do you want to explore who that is? And then it becomes, you start to see the overlaps of their family and your family.
Exactly. So, any questions, any thoughts on that? No?
So, do you know what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
He seems so...
lethargic type.
No, I think maybe I think he wanted something exciting.
Yeah.
He wanted a, who do you think you are?
Moment.
There's my granddad who is...
Well, you're not going to get that from DNA.
No.
No, but I still feel that you feel...
Well, no, it's a bit bland.
Underwhelmed.
It's a bit
Underwhelmed.
bland, isn't it?
But this is the problem. So...
Because he's got nothing other than India in him.
But also he's not got... The who do you think you are stories. I think I listened to Danny Dyer talking about how he was chosen to do it, but then they go away, they say, we want to do you. And then they go away and they do a load of research. And for a lot of people, they'll come back and say, actually, there's nothing
of interest.
There's nothing of interest.
No.
Yeah.
You are just, because for the vast majority of us, I've done some of mine.
It's not going to be.
There's nothing.
No.
I've got a great grandmother who I didn't know existed, obviously, who was born in Ireland, lived in Glasgow. And I've got, the most interesting thing in mine is that I've got some information about her admission into a mental health asylum.
Yeah.
And I've got some medical reports. And it's quite interesting,
Yeah,
but it's not.
I'm not. When you made that,
He's moved away from the microphone again.
When you made that comment, it wasn't in regards to my Uncle John Cobley and all. It's more about the percentage of what makes Ash who he is. That's what I was intrigued with, because what Ash is categorically confirmed through the testing, he is pure Indian. Right? What I thought was, if there was something that was of a Scandinavian nature, or a North American, or a Mongol, the people that do have known in their history, they're not static, they're nomadic. And they do go around the world, and they do go and take over the country, and they do go and do... Ash's DNA is articulated that everybody that makes who he is comes from India.
Yeah.
And we talked about reasons for that. One, because there isn't a lot of movement in terms of outside.
Yeah.
And two, that the marriages and the creating of kids and stuff was actually within a group of people.
Yeah.
So you haven't got that kind of mix.
I guess probably because I watched too much Hollywood. But if you look at it and think, but there was no scenarios of where the London gentry had took advantage of the local Indian girl, and they'd had a baby out of wedlock. That, because that's when you start then to alter the gene pool, alter the DNA massively.
Yeah, but maybe you are thinking more of Hollywood than Bollywood.
No, I am,
because
but of India,
in reality, it doesn't happen. So.
No, exactly, it doesn't. But in India, you mentioned the influx of the Dutch. You mentioned South Africa. So the Dutch were very prominent in South Africa. The Afrikaan are not African as such. They are Dutch descendants, big, strong, Afrikaan. If you ever meet any Afrikaan, you'll notice that they have got very strong Dutch DNA in them. And that's why I was hoping that Ash had something in his that would make it, God, that's it. So where did that, you
so
then start
it
to
would have had to be somebody in my ancestry. Had a relationship with somebody.
Yes.
Created a child.
Correct.
Which would have been a descendant or an ancestor of mine.
Correct.
And that didn't happen.
No.
It
that's
didn't
fine.
happen.
That's fine.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that...
did you get out what you hoped for? or you're a little bit underwhelmed?
Well, I kind of understand it better.
Yeah.
So I understand why there wasn't this big reveal, that there wasn't this big change in, my history, my background, because it doesn't work like that.
No.
No. And again, what I mentioned earlier on is the fact that there is very little information about my kind of ancestry in terms of individual generations and people like that, other than through word of mouth. And had I started my family tree before my dad died, right, and various other members in our community,
You'd have got more.
I'd have got more.
Yeah.
Do you see? And so instead, when I started, my uncle was still alive. So my dad's brother was still alive when I started doing it. And he was able to give me another 3 generations back in terms of great-great-granddads, right?
Yeah.
But he could only give me names.
Yeah.
He couldn't give me dates. Right, he couldn't give me any information about where.
No, because they weren't recorded, were they?
They weren't recorded, and it would be only what he remembered.
Yeah.
In the same way that I contacted my aunt last night, she's probably in her 90s now, and she doesn't know the history.
No, the recall wouldn't be there either, would it?
Partly the recall's not there, but also nobody sat down to understand where things came from. We're doing it now because out of interest.
And you've got no photos to try and link things together, have you?
No, well, I have photos, but even that, I've got piles of photographs from my family, my mum's collection, if you like, and I will recognise some of them. But once I've gone, those have been meaningless to my boys.
Yeah.
They will know nothing about those.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yes, I'm not underwhelmed, Andrew. I was just hoping there was going to be some, some
Spice.
having
Well, we know he likes spice.
No, I
we know.
didn't mean that kind of
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
There's nothing in the ethnicity part of it, but I think the whole story of migration
Yeah.
is of our time.
Yeah.
And the reasons why people kind of do
Move
from
around,
one country
yeah.
to another and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Well, that's very flat. I can't see any more conversation coming out.
No, I think we've covered
around.
that now.
Okay. Do you want a break?
Yeah, I think. Okay. I feel
Let's for a break.
just go for a break
Yeah.
so that you can. Do you maybe need to digest it or?
No, I've fully
Just-
digested it.
I've still got to digest my
Yeah.
croissant.
I've still got nothing.
It's a break. Have you?
Fine.
Cup of tea?
Yeah, can I have a warm one? Because the last one was bloody cold.
You're kidding me?
It was cold.
But it was sat there for ages before you drank
It
it.
was still cold.
But it would be cold if it was sat there for ages before you drank it.
Not if you warm
the
the.
works.
Listen. It was cold.
Are you going to tell him how to make a cup of tea?
No, I'm saying next time, make sure the water's piping hot.
Well, maybe I was distracted.
Exactly. I'm not. I'm just saying. You
Yeah,
asked me, and I said,
okay.
"Look, can I have a hot
Well,
one?"
I do apologise.
Fine.
Right.
Seriously, I do apologise.
Right.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. 3 guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.
Do you want to?
Hi.
Welcome back.
Hi.
Are we doing this as like a? Do you want me to put that together as one episode?
Can do. It depends on the length of it and stuff.
That was
Depends.
exactly an hour.
Was it? As much as that?
It was an hour.
Bloody hell. Okay. Well, let's see how it goes.
I'm
And
going to have a
you can-
musical break for it, though. I like to have a musical break.
You want a musical break? What music can you could put in?
Well, I ain't got anything for that, have I?
It'd have to be something Indian, won't it?
No, it could be.
I've got it. I've got a tune.
Go
on. I'm coming out. I want the world to know.
He's
I haven't just
gay.
come out.
He's not gay.
I haven't just come out.
What?
No, but his DNA's come out, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, that could mean something completely different, but.
Well, if that's how you feel about it. Welcome back,
No.
guys. Welcome back. I felt a bit of kind of a downer on the previous hour or so. But I guess that what it allows us to do is to actually think about what DNA testing actually is, what it gives you and what it doesn't give you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Stu, you felt that there wasn't a big reveal. There wasn't a big surprise that, you thought that might come out of this. But you said earlier on that actually it gives us a better idea of what DNA
Well, I think it's
testing is about.
my lack of understanding of DNA compared to ancestry.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yes, I would have liked a bit more spice. I'd like a little bit more drama.
It was all India, wasn't it?
Yeah, well,
Was
there's
it
spice. India. Yeah, but I was thinking like, your great-great-grandmother got ravaged by an English soldier and, that's
We're Indian. We don't ravage.
a ravage. Okay. But yeah, so it's my lack of understanding, right? But I think the lesson learned is if you want to understand what your great-great-grandmother did and her siblings did,
Yeah.
you've got to do that through things like ancestry.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that from a simple mouth swab. That's only going to be about you.
Yeah.
And when you then realise that India at that time was very primitive in recording death, birth of marriages, it's going to be very difficult to trace anything back. Whereas in the Western civilization, where we have been logging death, birth and marriages for hundreds and hundreds of years, there's a lineage that you can go and track back and trace, hence ancestry.
Yeah.
So I wasn't dismissive of what you've put. It was my lack of understanding of what you were able to achieve with DNA.
Which is why I wanted to kind of do a bit more of a history of my family.
Yeah.
Because that's more evidence-based, if you like, even if it's word of mouth. When you do a family tree with all the information that you have in this country and other parts of the world, it gives you a more of a in-depth view of who your ancestors were.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've got census, you've got records that allows you to do that. For us in India, we don't have that.
No.
Right? And so, as much as I would love to have kind of understood better who my various ancestors were, I don't have that.
No.
I don't have that.
No.
And so it is just by word of mouth.
And so yours is more of a societal way that your ancestors have moved around, and it's more it's more general history than it's specific to you.
Yes.
But it only really, once you explore it, only gives you more the general history of what your ancestors have done, rather than because you can't really go back. You can't tell me what your great-great-great-grandfather did for a living, where he lived, the house that he lived in.
No, I can't. I can't. In Ancestry, if you did it through here,
You could, yeah.
What you can do is, because of the censuses, where they live,
Where they lived, occupation.
Occupation. You knew how many children there were in the family.
Yeah.
And then once you link that, you can link that to previous generations and where they come from. It doesn't give you a lot of information about their kind of personality, their kind of history generally.
No.
Those are just, those are things you can only get from other records, maybe letters from people or word of mouth, as we've said, or somebody's maybe written a book or whatever. You can't get those things.
And it takes a huge amount, like we were saying about the Who Do You Think You Are? They've got a massive team of researchers with an almost infinite amount of money to spend on being able to travel around the country or around the world to really delve deep into it. When we were on our break, I said that I've got ancestry that goes back to Germany, only 3 generations back, and that I've been unable to move forward on that. Of course I could, but to really get a true picture, it's probably going to involve getting on a plane, going to Germany, going around and actually exploring where that person was and getting the information firsthand. It's not that it's impossible, but I just I haven't got the time. It's resources that, we don't always have to be able to do that.
So, Stuart, you said that you probably like to get yours done.
I'm going to do it.
What would you expect to?
I just think that with being Anglo-Saxon, as far as I know,
you're a very tall chap. Is that?
No, Anglo-Saxon.
Was that?
Well, that's sad.
Who was it? Was it the? What were the Nordics?
Well,
No,
Vikings.
Vikings.
Well,
They were
Vikings
big and tall, weren't they?
Yeah, but
Really?
Yeah,
they're big,
massive.
Yeah. But no, I'm smiling at that. Well, whenever you use the word massive, there's always some innuendos with it. But anyway, no, I just think that because of the history of the United Kingdom, from the Romans to the Vikings and the Celts and so on and so forth, we're a nation of explorers. So, we conquered 3/4 of the world. So when you start going back in time, the chances are you are going to have a very dispersed DNA pool.
Yeah.
And I just think it'd be quite interesting.
Why do you think you did?
I'm not saying
No. As
I'm not saying I have.
No, British. You say that we needed to. We went out and
We did conquer 3/4 of the world.
That's
Didn't
because you were a dinky. You were tiny. You needed to get out there.
we? No,
We had a huge country. We didn't have to go.
No, because our brain developed a lot quicker than yours, right? So we
Sorry?
are Homo.
Wow.
We are Homo sapiens. Well, just think of the things that we invented. The British.
What?
Brunel. What did he invent? If it wasn't for Brunel, we wouldn't have trains. We wouldn't have steel bridges
now
and
we're
stuff like
getting
that.
into a completely different
No.
conversation.
Well,
Are you saying what? Are you saying things like maths and stuff like that? That was kind of
that was the Greeks, wasn't it?
no, it wasn't.
I think it was.
But whatever. But it wasn't.
Don't
it
start
wasn't-
being defensive.
No, but it wasn't the British, was it?
No. I'm not about. Look at what we invented. The steam engine. Well, that changed the way people travelled.
You keep saying, look at what we invented. You've so far come up with one thing.
No, I'm just giving you an example.
Okay, yeah, another one.
Right? I don't have to give an example. I'm just giving you one example.
Okay.
It's up to the listeners to go in and research it.
No, it's not. That's what we're no. That's what.
No, we're here to stimulate and cause and create dialogue.
Right. So just give me one other thing that the British have invented.
What do you want?
Bungalows.
What do you want to know?
Bungalow. I want to know one other thing. You're getting so proud to be British that
I am
we
proud to be
invented
British.
all of these things.
I am
These
proud to be British.
many things.
So Ash mentioned about India, right? If we hadn't gone to India and put the rail system
He's
in,
back on railways. He's back on railways, and he's just
You went to India.
yeah,
Before that, India was the 6th richest country in the world.
yes,
And you pillaged it.
for
Oh.
spices
Oh,
that you don't even like.
Pillaged
hang
it.
on. Whoa, this is not a racial. This is not
Nothing racial.
No, you're
pillaged
about
it.
what the British had done. The
Yeah,
question was,
we know
what
what
did the
the
British
British
have
have done.
invented? If it wasn't,
Blimey,
if it
this
was,
is a completely different conversation, mate. If you want to
If
go
it-
down that route,
yes, let's do
we'll
it.
take it. We'll
Let's
take
do
it.
it.
Not now.
The British changed the way this world.
What do you think gave them the resources to be able to do that?
Well, of course, the resources are there.
No.
Well,
No.
what do you mean?
Just there.
When did the Industrial Revolution happen?
Come on, enlighten me.
1850 something.
You were already in India for at least a century before that.
Yes,
You pillaged India.
we didn't pillage.
Pillaged it, and that wealth that you took from India allowed you
Yeah,
to develop industry, whatever.
and we
in this country.
reciprocated it by bringing India forward.
Oh,
Now, can I push back a little on both here? Okay, I don't think that we generated our wealth from India.
I didn't say that.
I know
Ash
he did, so I'm pushing back on his comment there because I think we were already a wealthy
Look,
country before
I'm not. Listen,
India.
let's not get into the detail.
But he is right.
healthy as a result.
No, but I didn't see
Massively.
it. But we were already
You
a
wouldn't have been able
wealthy.
to do what he's talking about without pillaging.
No, but we had the foresight to do that. That's what I'm saying. You lot didn't. You were happy to stay in your own little country. We went out.
country. Oh wow.
We went out and thought we needed to explore this and take advantage of it. Right?
Because you were tiny.
Yeah, we were tiny.
Just because you were tiny.
Is that like middle-aged men driving around in a Range Rover? Is that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
national equivalent?
No,
of
yeah,
no,
yeah.
hang on. Listen, be serious. We went to America, right? And got kicked out of America, but we brought America forward,
We didn't.
right?
No, that's a very.
So America, listen,
Very
and you can
arrogant.
challenge it. You can challenge it all you want.
So, do you think that all these countries actually asked for you to come in and pillage them?
No, let me explain. Let me just come back to one point. The question I thought you were going to ask me was, and the answer I was going to give you is, those countries benefit massively from the British ingenuity. Okay? And I use that as an example, the railway system.
was black on railways.
Yeah,
stuck on the railway.
because that was monumental. You look at America, to get out to the frontiers
Yeah.
took months, right? And a lot of people never made it to where they wanted to get to because it was so arduous.
Yeah.
Once they put trains in, they could do it a lot easier,
Yeah.
right? And it made it a lot more accessible. India is exactly the same thing. The rail infrastructure there was created by the British, okay?
We were getting on perfectly well with it.
Right? And that's all I'm saying. Let's
I mean,
look at...
I mean, there is a
of course there is. Of course there is.
We did add a little
We're having a
bit
bit
of
of
But this is all general kind of development over the centuries. And
Yes.
years from
Yes.
and it's not just the Brits on their own.
No, I know
For
it's not.
God's-
The question here, listeners, was, why do I want to do my DNA?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah,
yeah.
So you went up on a tangent
well,
because of what I said.
Yes.
And my point of saying it is the British had it in their DNA to go and explore the world. Yes, Ash, we probably took advantage of
The
certain
Spanish did that
cultures.
as well.
The Spanish did, the Portuguese did it, the French did it.
The
Okay.
Ottomans. So it wasn't just the Brits.
So I'm intrigued to
Mongols
see.
isn't Mongolia, is it?
Genghis Khan.
Mogul and Mongolia.
Mughals,
Two different.
Mughals that invaded and ruled India
Yeah.
were from Western Asia. Right.
Genghis Khan and all those.
Afghanistan.
No, that's Mongolia.
So
No, Genghis Khan was the leader of that.
No, that's what I'm establishing is
Mongolia.
Mongolia is not Mogul.
No, they're the Mongols.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mongols.
Yeah.
But Genghis Khan took over the countries. That's what I'm saying. He
Okay.
went to
Our history is so shit. Right.
What is going
We
on?
need to.
Let me go
we
back.
need to get
let me
somebody
come
who
back.
knows history.
Can we just
Yeah.
come back
come
to
and
the
talk
original
us. I'll get
question?
Kieran in.
Can we get the original question? Question was, why do you think I want
Yes.
what we're doing with
Go
DNA? And I'm saying because of this country and the history of this country
Yes.
and what we did, it'd be interesting to see what my DNA is.
Yes.
Andrew, you've said your mum's Scottish. My mum and dad are both English.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But are they? That's what I don't
Yeah, yeah.
understand.
Why did you say your mum's Scottish in quotation, air quotes?
Because you made out that...
She's definitely Scottish. I've met her.
No, I know that. But your attitude to certain things beggars belief.
What? Now?
You know, we're not going to go on the Italian story that you followed on, right? I mean, that's just a joke, right? So let's just focus on factual stuff. Both my parents are English. They're not
Yes.
Scottish, not Irish, English.
Mm.
So I'm led to believe. But my dad never knew his dad, right?
Yeah.
So he never wanted to know his dad because his dad walked out on his mum and his mum died when he was 12.
Yeah.
So my dad's very bitter about it. He doesn't want to know his past.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
But to me,
But to do that.
I'm going to do it.
So if you were to do that,
Yeah.
I think the more interesting thing is more ancestry rather than
It would be.
ethnicity.
It would be.
Ethnicity, right?
But
Because
if
because in your situation, in your dad's situation, if you didn't know who his dad was,
Yeah.
a DNA might allow you
correct.
to match with somebody who might be related to him, and then you can explore it further beyond that.
Well, yes, but my DNA would articulate and demonstrate percentage of a culture that I have no recollection of
Yes.
or no connection to.
And you might have something in there, but that would depend on people in your ancestry having maybe gone abroad, come back,
I would probably
had
think
children with mixed kind of
I've got some connection to Australia.
What?
yeah
What?
Convicts.
Aborigine.
Convicts.
Yeah.
So
I'm just putting it out
Oh,
Yeah,
there.
but
they didn't.
but hang on.
We sent convicts to Australia. They didn't send them here.
No. So if my great grandfather, for example, went to Australia
As a convict.
as a convict, but he was pardoned after 10 or 15 years, I don't know how it
Well,
works.
he came back.
No, he might have married an Australian lady out there,
Yeah.
right? They had a child, and then they came back here. Then you've got a different dilution of my DNA,
only if their children were your direct ancestors.
and that's what we don't know. We're just surmising. But what I'm saying is,
Okay,
in
I
my
think you should do
culture,
that.
in my culture, there's a possibility of stuff like that.
Michael.
In your culture, Ash, there wasn't any. You pointed out that yours is full Indian, 100% pure breed,
Yeah.
right?
It's not a dog.
You're not a Heinz 57. That when you look at the English, there's a large percentage would be a Heinz 57 because of what we've done in our lineage.
Okay, so have it done.
I'm going to have it done. Send me the link. And
Aidan's just put his in.
Yeah.
So we can make an update of this at some point.
Yeah. Does your kettle do hot water?
I boiled it before I put it in. I boiled water and put it in the cups to heat up the cups.
I'm going to get
The problem you've got is that you're talking, the cup's sitting there. And
I
it's
don't
getting
think you
cold.
realise that he made that 25
Do you
minutes
warm
ago.
the?
Thank you.
Do you warm the
25
cup up
minutes.
before you put the hot water into a
Yes.
cold cup?
No,
But it's still been 25 minutes.
I'm going to
mate.
buy you some of those cups
No,
that
you
keep
just
warm.
said what he said.
Yes, I know, but they should keep more warm than that, surely.
25. How long do you expect water to stay boiling for? It's 25 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, move on.
Okay.
I'll just like a hot cup of
All
tea.
right. So
eventually.
shall we bring that kind of conversation around DNA and
Yeah,
ancestry to
yeah,
an end?
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's to be concluded.
To be concluded.
When I made that statement about the
Well-
British and what we invented and what we've contributed to the world. So
I think-
I'm not ashamed of it. Let's put it out there.
Some of it isn't great.
I don't care.
Some of that history is
Some of it is
It's not-
questionable,
not the best.
but a lot of people, a lot of the world have benefited from those actions. So let's just park it there.
Well, a lot of the
And
world
move on.
would not think that.
Well, let's move on.
Do you see?
Let's move on.
Do you see?
Yeah.
This you're coming from the standpoint,
Yeah,
right, of an empire,
yeah,
of a invader,
yeah,
of a pillager,
colonist.
yeah,
and a colonist.
yeah.
And you're bound to
But just
have the view that what you did
But
was
just think-
to improve the lot
Let's just
of large parts of
let's
the world.
just move on. But I'll just come back to you on one point.
Yeah.
Let's move on, Bert.
Yeah, I don't never want to lose out on something. So if you think of your family,
Yes.
because of England going to India, right,
Yes.
and what they did, it gave your family the opportunity, because they were part of the Commonwealth,
Okay.
to come to England.
So did I describe to you the reasons why we had a famine in India?
No, you didn't.
No. And that was
Is that the
because
weather?
it was to do with the taxation that the British imposed upon agriculture in India.
See, that's an important
Right.
thing. It never came
Right.
Because when I mean that,
So, so you can't,
you've got to pay your way, haven't you? Let's be honest about it. Taxation's there for a reason. And if you look at where we are in today's world,
we revolt.
if you
this
look at
is
where we
why
are
we
today,
exist.
Taxation without representation, as the Americans said. Or
yeah,
whatever
the
it was.
the taxation is there for a purpose. It's not a free ride,
Yeah,
people.
it's to fill your coffers.
Well,
That's what it was there for.
that does need to be
So
answered.
that we could build railways.
Yeah. So I don't
Send men to the moon.
think we should have this conversation unless
We never said.
I know we say that we're not experts and all
We're
this
not
shit,
experts. We're just
but
debating.
having said that, I mean, I've got a son who did history, right? And he would be better to be here if we were to have this conversation.
Okay,
But
we
let's move on.
let's move on.
I don't. Okay.
So, Andy,
Hello.
Andy,
Andy. No, I'm not. No,
help me, please.
I don't need any help. I just want to move on.
Okay.
Oh,
Andy,
Yes.
I understand that you visited Amsterdam recently.
I did visit Amsterdam
And
recently.
how was how was that trip?
I didn't like it.
Oh,
Didn't like it.
what didn't you like?
harsh.
Right. Okay. Look, I'm gonna be brief.
Can you just list what you didn't like?
Okay.
Bullet points.
Okay. Here we go.
Don't want
Start-
chapter and verse. Just
starting
Mm.
with my arrival in the country.
you felt
Schiphol.
unwelcomed.
No, Schiphol Airport. Schiphol.
One of the biggest,
Biggest
in
One
the
of the
world.
biggest, or fourth biggest, I believe.
Yeah,
Very, very busy.
intimidating was it?
Not
Did
really.
you feel inadequate?
Ah,
He was about to say small.
now,
I was.
yeah. Well, did you know that the Dutch are the tallest people in the world?
That's why I said earlier on about the Afrikaner in
Yeah.
South Africa.
I was going to jump in, but I
Yeah.
thought, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
tallest
You had
people
to
in the
jump
world.
pretty high for that.
Yeah,
So, well, the first problem was,
they asked where your mum and dad was.
I'll give you that one. That was good. It's probably the best
Are
you've
you-
ever come out with.
Are you an unaccompanied migrant?
Stay there, son. We'll go and put your call for your mum and dad.
Just come in this room, yeah.
Yeah,
Just wait here with these colouring books. Right.
play with the Lego.
Yeah. Right. Arriving. Okay, so it's only around about a 55-minute flight from Birmingham to Schiphol. Right.
Depends which way you go.
What?
You went by ship or boat?
Schiphol boat? You mean not the
Skip
same thing?
Yeah.
What?
Ship
Yeah.
or a
Depends
boat?
Depends if the wind's behind you. Go on.
I went on a plane.
Yeah, go on. Carry on,
Right.
sorry. We're just being silly.
No, we're fine. Right. 50-minute flight, border control, right? None of the electronic things are working, right? So it's a manual, it's the old-fashioned guy looking at your passport, right? So an hour and 15 minutes before I get to this guy, 2 flights had arrived. So that's, 400 people waiting for like I said, so it's 2 people.
Is this new? So they haven't used the new system.
They're all on.
Used
They're all
in
there.
Venice.
They're all there, but they're turned off.
Ah.
So we had to queue and go through it. And this guy, he says, right, looks at your passport and he says,
Where's your mum and dad?
no, yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Can you move on now? Sorry.
But it was a case of, they ask you, you know, what you're here for, what you're waiting, who you're staying with, where are you staying, what town you're staying.
That's like America.
Yeah, but what gets me, right,
Mhm.
2 things strike me about this. Firstly, he asks me all those questions,
Yeah.
doesn't go and check, doesn't follow up on any of that.
Well, you don't know that.
Well, he let me through.
Yeah, because they can verify that after you. Once you've gone through, they then can do the check.
So let's
Give them-
assume that I'm an international arms dealer.
Yeah.
And I'm there on, you know, doing a
On
Dodgy
business.
bit.
On business.
business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
He's let me through,
yeah.
then he's going to check later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where's he going to find me?
Well, if you're not where you said you are,
Yeah.
then you're in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, but how's he going to find me?
No, they're not verifying how to check who you are per se. They're asking you your name, where you're staying, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. They will then, if they have to, they'll check and go to that residence. If you're not there and the person who answers the door says, I don't know this.
But I didn't give an actual address.
What did you do then?
I just gave the town.
No, well, normally you have to say
This
where
is
you're
what I
staying.
couldn't understand. It was like, it was completely...
Ah, so you didn't actually put the address where you're staying.
No.
Okay.
Okay, carry on. What's your point?
And the other thing is, everything's legal in the Netherlands, isn't it?
Like what?
Everything.
What? Give an example.
Well, like drugs.
Not all drugs are.
No, but it's a very liberal country.
Yes, that's nice.
I'm not going to fraudulently go, of all the countries that I could fraudulently go to commit crime, I'm not going to choose the Netherlands, am I?
Well,
Because it's dealing
about
about the fact through passport control when A, the machines weren't working,
yeah.
B, he asked me questions that he may as well not have asked me them anyway, because what did it prove?
Yeah.
And C, if I was going to commit a crime, I could quite easily.
Did you look presentable when you went there? Did you
I
look
looked like I'd got off a plane.
or did you look like you'd just been dragged through a bush backwards?
I looked like this was everybody. They were asking everybody.
That's fine then. You're not being singled out.
I wasn't
are you?
saying that. I was just questioning the purpose of it.
Okay, so you've got through now.
Got through
What
now.
else is your gripe about?
He's waiting for his mum and dad.
I'd gone there for a wedding. I've been led to believe that the Dutch all speak English. That they're very, very good at English because they get taught.
They probably choose not to.
Yeah, nothing, not a word.
Yeah.
Not a word. So I spent the entire duration of this wedding not knowing what was going on.
Oh, so you mean the ceremony was in Dutch?
Everything was in Dutch.
Well, that's probably.
ceremony,
Well, that's probably.
speeches.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, but they didn't. No. The point is that outside of the ceremony,
Yeah.
if you live in a country where you've been led to believe everybody speaks English,
Yeah.
you would thought that you'd be able to have the odd.
But they don't know
Little
that.
chat.
They don't know that there's only an English speaking small person at that wedding.
I think if I'd have said, "Hello, how are you?"
Yeah,
you would assume that they would know that I was English.
but not all.
Are
of
you
them.
are you saying that when you were trying to have conversations with people and you spoke in English, they did not respond?
Correct, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now, is that arrogance, or is it that they're actually not as great?
Well, you're in
English?
Holland, right?
Yeah.
So you made the assumption that you're going to a foreign country where they don't speak English as their native language.
Yes,
They're going to divert into English to suit you.
because I'd been led to believe
By
that
who?
everybody,
By who?
by a few people,
So how many
That-
people did you try this with?
probably five,
Five people.
Five,
You just picked the
6
wrong,
of the bride.
you just picked the wrong people.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure.
can't-
I mean, I've never had any issues with English in Amsterdam.
No.
Right, so move on from my own personal experience with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Oh, so the wedding was a disaster.
Weddings, nah, the flight was horrible.
And what was
Wedding
the,
was
what was the
horrible.
food like? Did they have
Horrible.
mayonnaise?
No, it was horrible.
Fritz? Because they like the chips and they like the mayonnaise.
The problem is that the groom is from Singapore.
Oh, so you had Singapore.
Oh, like it.
Nice.
Oh, it was nice.
Yeah.
Not traditional, but obviously, and that was fine. The wedding, yeah, I didn't like it, and I was annoyed by the trip, by the flight.
Yeah. So you weren't in a good mood. You weren't in a good place, were you?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
And
Which
did you get changed prior to the wedding?
Yes, Stuart. Yes, I did. Yeah. Thanks. I think. Do you want me to go into that?
No. We'll keep that between ourselves.
Yeah.
It's an 18 plus that.
Yeah, that's
You have to wait that to another
This is
day.
the extended podcast.
Yeah.
With us.
Okay, so
Right.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I've been to Amsterdam.
Yes. What did you think?
Okay.
Have you been to Amsterdam, Ash?
Loads of time.
Yeah. What do you think to it?
I love it.
I think I love the buildings. I love the fact they modernised it. It's not like an architect's dream. They've left it very much as it was. I imagined it when I went there. It was just like it was in the war, 1930s, 1940s. The buildings, the facade was still the same.
Mhm.
The department stores, you walk in there, they're still set in that kind of time zone. They're not ultra modern. I found them very friendly. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the red light district. And the reason for that is I've got no problem. I've got no problem with the drunks and stuff like that.
Did it cost him?
I mean, 50 euros should be more than enough. The fact is, as you quite said, they are very liberal.
Yeah.
And I didn't like people approaching me asking if I wanted to buy any substances.
I didn't get that.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all.
That was, I'm not telling you out late at night, but I was walking around, 11:30, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you were. So I was only there during the day.
No, so this was at night time when the red light's at its peak and everything else. So I didn't like that element of it.
Mhm.
But as long as you understand that's what's acceptable in there, that's what they did, fine. I've got no problem with it. Would I go back again? Yeah, probably would.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
He's probably the most underwhelmed I've ever been, ever.
Okay.
And it would never have been on my list of places I wanted to go.
How long were you there for? Just a day?
It was only for the day.
Well, in fairness, it's a bit harsh.
And maybe I was already in a bit of a bad mood.
Yeah, I think you probably need to go back.
So maybe that. But I just felt that, I don't know, I don't anymore, haven't done for a long time, but I was never bothered.
You don't smoke? You've just been out for a fag?
You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. Oh, you mean marijuana?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say it. It's legal in this country. You can smoke marijuana, you just can't deal it.
Yeah, I wasn't hiding the fact that I was...
Well, you did.
I literally just said I used to smoke. I don't anymore.
But you do smoke.
But this was in relevance to Amsterdam.
I know,
So it was
but-
quite obvious that I was talking about weed and not fags.
We're an adult
Right,
environment.
I used to smoke weed. I don't anymore.
That's
That bit
fine.
never interested me.
That's fine.
I don't have a problem with it, but it never really interested me.
Okay.
I was expecting really pretty, chilled out, bridges, canals,
And you never saw that?
I saw the canals, relax.
Well, you need to take some gummy bears or some
That
space
doesn't-
cakes or
What? It doesn't make the world go in slow motion.
Well, it does.
You have something to cuddle.
Yeah. It makes you feel a bit. It gives you a little bit of love. Doesn't it, loves? Old Ash?
What?
So
That was my Dutch accent.
I think that I have been to Amsterdam a number of times. I haven't been for a while, though. I would say I've been for maybe about 15 years.
Okay.
I think that in the way that I feel about a lot of places now at this time in my situation and life, these places are very much geared to me now,
Yeah.
On the other hand, it gives you a huge amount of variety in terms of places to eat, places to visit and stuff like that. It is a bustling city, so there's a bit of excitement there if you're of that ilk and stuff, It doesn't give me an insight into Dutch culture, really, because actually it's European culture, Western culture.
Yeah.
It's not specifically Dutch, I don't think.
No.
And so if I was to visit, I would probably visit somewhere outside of Amsterdam.
Yes.
Which will give me a better feel for what Netherlands is like.
And I did stay outside of Amsterdam.
You did, but was that a quiet place?
It was a quiet place. I would even compare it to Solihull,
Yeah.
is what it felt like.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. My objection isn't...
Maybe it's typical of a Northern European city.
I just think you were tarnished because everybody ignored you.
I think I was tarnished by... It was a quick in and out trip. It was for a wedding.
Yeah.
Which wasn't exactly sort of ideal.
And you only know really 2 people, didn't you?
Exactly. So I get that,
But
the
well.
haves.
Well, very well.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I think, yeah, you are right. There is probably...
Full exposure.
I think... Do you want me to cut... Right, look.
No, listen. No, let's not go there.
Okay.
I think the important thing is, Andrew, you were there for 24 hours.
I wasn't there for...
You didn't know the bride and the groom.
Yeah.
You didn't know anybody at the wedding other than your girlfriend
Yeah.
and her sister.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's going to gravitate towards you.
No. And
Because your girlfriend don't live there.
no,
She lives
true,
in Spain.
True.
So, with the greatest respect, she's got her world and the Dutch have got their world and never the twain will meet. So I think your expectations are probably a bit high.
I think if that's the first time you've been to Amsterdam,
Yeah.
that's not a true reflection.
No.
So
no.
you need to do it again.
Yeah.
You need to do it again.
But what will happen in years to come, Ash and I have got this in abundance, just move on.
Yeah.
So people didn't speak to you, move on.
Oh, no, I'm not
You're obviously
upset.
bruised by that, weren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
That's in Belgium.
Bruges, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's
Well
lovely.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty city. Should have probably gone to Bruges.
Probably should have gone there, yeah.
Rather
I
than-
think
Also
that's-
very touristy.
Very
maybe that's
touristy.
what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I think I was expecting...
And I just
Bruges.
said
And
that.
how
I
they
think your
got there.
expectations
My
were too high.
expectations were...
Probably should go away with Ash when he goes to his little place because he has, set criteria and they tend to match that criteria.
But what you mean in Spain?
Well, no, he doesn't. He just said he doesn't like the touristy type of places.
And that, I
And
guess,
Amsterdam is a major city.
and it is. My ultimate thing was that the more places in the world that you see, the more you realise that there's just a lot of carbon copy, isn't there? It's just...
And that's why I keep going back and I keep saying about to Malaga because everybody flies into Malaga and then they go down the coast.
Yeah.
Right. It's also familiarity. Once you've been somewhere multiple times,
Yes.
you get more out of it than if you just dip in for a couple of 3 days,
Yeah.
do everything that all tourists do.
Yeah.
And you just come away thinking, well, I did that in Madrid, I did that in Amsterdam, I did that in, Paris. It's all the same.
Yeah.
But if you'd have gone to like a market, like I like visiting the local markets and stuff, then you get the sense of the vibe of the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't see that.
No, I didn't.
So don't be too, I would say,
Yeah.
and Ash probably would back me, don't be too judgmental on what you'd
No.
experienced.
Yeah.
Go back,
Yeah.
not to a wedding, have a weekend there, Friday, Saturday, come back Sunday, immerse yourself.
Maybe you're right.
Walk round, go down the canals, go to a coffee shop in the canal areas or wherever, sit there, observe people, try and do what you can. When I went to Venice, didn't want to go to Venice. Venice blew me away. Loved it. We'll be going back next year without a shadow of a doubt because there's so much I want to do there. Because there's so much to do.
Okay, well, I think it's time to kind of bring things to a close.
Mhm.
I'd just like to update, because of when this goes out and the timing of it, I'd just like to say that Coventry City did get promotion.
Oh, congratulations.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm really, really pleased.
Yeah.
West Ham, how did West Ham go?
We're still waiting.
Still
As at time of recording,
in relegation.
we are not relegated.
Okay,
It is not looking good.
but you've got 2 games to go.
We do.
Okay,
Well, it's between them and Spurs. They're the only two.
Ultimately, yeah, we're the only two. That,
okay.
yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
Thanks.
Yeah,
And
that-
just, the VAR decision.
Let's move on.
You don't want me to...
You can't change it.
We can't, no.
Can't change it.
Stu, how's Liverpool getting on?
Not very well at the minute.
Okay. Yeah, they got a thumping last night.
We got from by Aston Villa
But
last
that
night.
seems to be,
No, we're very hit and miss.
yeah, at the
Very hit and miss.
moment.
Mostly
But you'll be
miss.
fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Mostly miss.
Yeah, let's move on.
Anything planned for the near future, guys?
Yes, I'm going back to Malaga in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Nice.
Looking forward to that. Massively looking forward to that. I'll have some more gummy bears while I'm over there.
Okay.
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 Going to probably hit that a little bit harder than I've hit before.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Up in the dosage.
the quantity. Yeah.
Okay, it's the
Yeah.
same thing.
First thing I'm do is when I get there is I'm going to go and buy me some gummy bears to set the scene.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, just to chill out, I think.
Billy's got addicted now.
I
How about
think
you?
so. I've only had it once in 12 years. In 2 years. So,
How about you?
I'm moving house.
Yes.
I
Yes,
missed
I'm
that.
moving house. I don't. It's for another time. For
Yeah.
another time.
yeah. How's your mum and dad feel about that? Being,
We'll just let's do.
We'll do that. At a
We'll
later
cover my house move
Yeah.
at some point
Okay. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
greater detail.
Okay.
I think that could be an episode on its.
Oh, well.
But also, just to say that, well done. And I think you're really excited about this.
I am
aren't you?
excited.
Yeah.
And it brings some good uplifting.
It does. It brings to a close quite a difficult time of
Yeah.
not feeling at home for quite a while.
Yeah.
So
So you can walk around in your boxes now, can't you? When you get in
I
there.
could walk around completely naked.
Well, it's not go that far.
I could put a shower in my living room if I chose to.
Well, you understand that. I mean,
You
that
probably
in,
need to.
in Amsterdam.
Apparently, that's the
Thing to do.
thing to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you're off soon travelling again.
Yeah, I've got a wedding to go to at the beginning of June, middle of
Wedding in this country or?
yeah. It's my nephew.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, Anne's brother's son Connor.
Okay, so it's an English.
It's in
Yeah.
and then yes, I'm planning to go back to Spain middle of June.
Nice.
So
Nice.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
Slightly longer if we include everything.
Okay.
Slightly longer than normal episode, this one. So thanks for holding on if you are still listening.
Yeah, because the start was a heavy session.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
Let's be fair.
Well,
We built it up.
Yeah.
Not sure we hit the spot.
Okay. Well, let's
Not-
review it.
let's
Maybe
listen to
maybe
it.
it's not worth putting out. We'll see.
Oh no, it's definitely worth putting out.
I haven't sat here for the last 3 hours to
No,
not
I
put
just
that
think
out.
the listeners need to appreciate that sometimes we have to go left of field,
Yeah.
which is the first part of this episode was left of field. It's covering your DNA,
Yeah.
but we captured the second,
Yeah.
in the second half, the reasons why it was a little bit
Yeah. And,
No.
and also that you are astonishingly
British.
Colonialist.
colonial. I was trying to find the right words.
Don't use that
I'll
word.
just go patriotic.
Very patriotic.
Yeah, we'll stick at that. Whether his patriotism be placed correctly, I don't know.
look,
But,
You're
it's
asking
still-
the wrong person here.
What?
Let's move on.
you're not religious, though, are you?
I am.
What am I again?
I'm a Christian.
Oh, there you
There you go. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, have a good Christian weekend.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for.